are able to get YouTube to accomplish its goal to get people to stare at a screen and watch YouTube videos, YouTube will really like you.
As much as it might hurt, when you look at those analytics, you gotta pay attention and realize that sometimes you have to do what hurts.
Of all the videos they could click on, they chose to click on mine. How do I deliver value for that person?
YouTube will give you exactly where audiences dip away, where they come back in, and the longer your video gets watched, the more YouTube will recommend it.
So with that said, we're gonna get started talking about what we've learned over the years of YouTube. Because as we said, neither one of us have degrees in marketing. Neither one of us started our channel 5 years ago with a huge audience. We were just totally normal people that failed a whole bunch of times until something clicked. And hopefully we can kind of talk through some of those frustrations we had and what we learned all along the way. First principle, if you want to grow on YouTube, you must understand how YouTube works. Now that seems real common sense, but if you want to succeed on a platform, you have to play by the rules of that platform. And in the case of YouTube, it's a business that makes money by getting people to sit and stare at their computer, their phone, their TV, and put ads in front of their face. So if you are able to get YouTube to accomplish its goal to get people to stare at a screen and watch YouTube videos, YouTube will really like you. And they will start to promote your content. And that seems like very obvious, but that's the bread and butter of if you want to grow on YouTube, you have to constantly be thinking, how do I help YouTube accomplish YouTube's goals? And at the end of the day, it's as simple as you have to get people to click. They have to click on your video, obviously, but they also have to stick around to the end. It's both of them. You have to be able to come up with ideas that are interesting to people, that are fresh, that stand out. You need a thumbnail that catches people's eyes, that teases value. But then you need a video that delivers on it. We've all seen the clickbait thumbnails that has the circle of something like, oh, what is that right there? And you click on it, it doesn't have anything to do with that. We've all seen these articles promoted, it's like, you won't believe which celebrity died this year. And it's a picture of Hugh Jackman, and you're like I'm like 99% sure Hugh Jackman's not dead, but I just gotta know. And you click on it, of course Hugh Jackman's not dead. And it's like, yeah, this 99-year-old celebrity died. Like, yeah, that's not nearly as interesting. But you have to be able to come up with ideas to get people to click, that entices them, teases some value, and then deliver on that value. And as obvious as that sounds, as much as that's something that doesn't sound like I just blew your mind with that, at the end of the day, that's the bread and butter of growing on YouTube. Like when it comes to your fitness goals, it's all about dieting and exercise. Sure, there's a bunch of tricks and hacks and other additional little things that you can do to try and help. But at the end of the day, if you want to get fit, whatever your goals are, it comes down to diet and exercise. When it comes to YouTube, you have to get people to click and to stick around until the end of your video. In the world of YouTube, people talk about the algorithm. Essentially, that's the formula that YouTube uses to decide which videos to recommend to people. So if you ever go to YouTube, as soon as you go to the homepage, there's 1,000 videos they're trying to get you to click on. If you watch a video, the right-hand side, it's a bunch of videos they're trying to get you to click on. And then if you search for anything, there's a bunch of videos that they recommend to you. All that's driven by the algorithm. At the end of the day, it's essentially click-through rate, the percentage of people that click on your video when it's recommended, plus watch time. How much time do people actually watch the video? And if you start thinking in those terms, how do I come up with a fresh idea? How do I come up with something that teases value? How do I do something that really does something interesting for a lot of people and then deliver on it? Really make something awesome for whoever chooses to give me their time. Of all the videos they could click on, they chose to click on mine. How do I deliver value for that person? That's at the absolute center of growing on YouTube. The thing is that YouTube's just as creepy as you think because they're owned by Google, and Google tracks everything. Like everything about your viewing habits, they track all of it. And then in YouTube, the Creator Center, for whatever you can look at your analytics, and they show you everything. And so they'll actually show you not just the watch time, they'll tell you the audience retention for your videos. they'll put up a chart and they'll show you exactly when people watch your video. And they'll show you exactly when people leave your video. And if you want to grow on YouTube and learn how to get more watch time, more click-through rate, they tell you all of this. And you just go and start studying your videos, which ones have a high click-through rate, high percentage that people click on it, and then which ones do people actually stick around and watch the whole thing. And it's painful, but when you watch your audience retention, you realize, oh, every time I say this, every time I do this, people leave instantly. It's brutal to realize exactly what you're bad at. But you learn so much. Like one real quick example, and I'll send it over to Chris to kind of elaborate on his thoughts on all this. But like early on, the biggest hit video I had in my first year of my channel was a trailer reaction for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I just done a live stream, and immediately the trailer dropped. So I just hopped on the internet and I'm going to do a trailer reaction live for this movie. Here's what I did. I grabbed my wife's phone and my phone, and I held one at the camera, and I held one facing me, and I pinched them like this, and I went, all right, let's do a trailer reaction, pushed play at the same time, and that was the video. But I'd also messed up the streaming settings. So the audio was like, hey guys, I'm going to talk about starting. It was horrible. Like it hurts your ears to watch this.
Hey, so I was actually just doing a live feed on a different video, and just as I was coming to a close, some people mentioned that the new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer dropped, so...
But because it was the first video posted, there was a trailer reaction for the first hour, man, I got a ton of clicks. Looked at my audience retention on that one. Boom! Everybody left instantly. It wasn't a hit video. I embarrassed myself in front of 16,000 people. 16,000 people went, this guy's a little worse. This guy's terrible. So you have to think, how do I get an idea that gets people to click, but then it's actually worth their time, so they stick around until the end? Chris, if you want to elaborate a little bit, what have you learned in this area?
So when I started out, I obviously watched YouTube years and years and years before I finally started my channel. I opened it up in the year 2016 in April. And I was like one of those people who thought high and mighty and was like, all right, I'll start my channel, but I'm not going to be one of those clickbait people. I'm not going to put no red circles. I'm not going to put any arrows in there. That's a cheap way to get views. It's not going to happen. Eventually, I found out clickbait is not as bad of a word as you think it is. It becomes bad, like when Sean says, when you don't deliver on what you're promising in that video. If you're going to clickbait, meaning you're going to entice them and tease them with something like Hugh Jackman in the Spider-Man trailer, he better be in the Spider-Man trailer if that's what your thumbnail is pointing to and red circling. If not, then you lose respect with your audience. And just when you look at those analytics, which can be really scary, because like what Sean was talking about, YouTube will give you exactly where audiences dip away, where they come back in. And one of the things that was heartbreaking to me when I was making videos, anytime I went away from showing like a picture of the movie where I would show a still from it or some video, and then it went back to my face to like talk for like 10, 20 seconds before I showed another picture, every time it would go back to my face on screen, I'd see a dip. I'd see people click away, and that's heartbreaking, because it's like, am I that ugly? Am I that repulsive? Or it's like, but it's just the trickery of there. Like, people are hearing me talk about this movie, Malignant, the latest James Wan horror movie. If I'm talking about that, people want to see video footage of, want to see photos, and they see my face, they're reminded, I'm just listening to another guy surrounded by toys. I need to get my life together, and they'll click away, and that's what sucks. So I adapt to that. I'm like, all right, less me on screen and more stills and more footage. You'll see people stay longer, and the longer your video gets watched, the more YouTube will recommend it. So now when people watch the trailer for Malignant, my review will be in the recommended, because it's like, well, people who saw this trailer then ended up watching this video for a long extended period of time. So clickbait can be good as long as you deliver on that promise. And as much as it might hurt, when you look at those analytics, you got to pay attention and realize that sometimes you have to do what hurts to better yourself along the way in the career. Now I can show my face and people will tolerate it, but early on, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, one more point on that kind of a story. Whenever Endgame was about to come out, I did some trailer breakdowns, and in my thumbnail, I took a picture of ScarJo's hair and did like a circle around it with an arrow pointing at it, and a bunch of people in the comment section were like, dude, you're going clickbait, dude, you're doing the arrows and the circles. I was like, I'm actually proposing a theory about the movie based off of her hair, and it was right. I said there was going to be a time jump, and there was. Spoilers in case you're the one person on earth that hasn't seen the movie yet. But it's okay to tease, entice. You just have to deliver on the value.